We went to the doctor's today for Jamie's procedure, and the poor thing, he was laying on the table, and I was sitting in the chair, James was sitting in the chair, and I've been around the block a little bit with him and shots and things, and so I gave James all my stuff and just was ready to go. And James really had never been to the kids' appointments because I would do them during the day so we could spend the evenings together and whatever. So I was just anticipating jumping up, if needed. And so he's laying there, he's 12 and laying there, and she's telling him what he's going to do, and he's asking her 1,500 questions because that's what he does, and she's explaining. And so she starts putting the needle in, and he's ready to pull that sucker out, and I knew it. So I come over and I grab his arms, and I'm like, "You're all right, buddy." And I'm like, seriously, down on his arms like this, and I'm like, "You're fine." And he's like, "No, but it hurts. Can she just stop?" And I said, "Nope, she can't stop right now." And I'm talking to him, and his legs were fine. I kind of had my arm on one, and I don't know how, but I was like holding him with his head down, and just telling him to breathe, and "You're fine." And the one nurse was just kind of looking at me like, "Okay, it looks like you got this, lady." So, I had Taylor who would kick the doctor. So embarrassed. Anyways, I'm just like, "You're fine, buddy." And he's like, "Okay, well," we got through that, and it was a spot on his back, and he was like, "Oh, I don't think I can do that on my neck. I mean, that on my back's a little bit thicker skin." I mean, he kind of gets all that stuff, and this on my neck, I'm just not really seeing that this is gonna work out for me at this point. And I'm like thinking in my head, that's our only option. I'm thinking in my head, and I'm trying to think quick, and the lady's like, the nurses were wonderful. The nurses are wonderful. The receptionist, great. And she's looking at me like, and she said, "Buddy, but you can't move or squirm like this because he's doing this, and here it is on his neck, and he's doing this." And she's like, "But you're not going to be able to do that." And I said, "Jamie, you're not going to be able to move your arms." And he's done that before. They have put a flu shot or whatever shot in him, and he has pulled it out of his leg. I mean, I've witnessed it, and they're like, "We only got half the shot." And I'm like, I know, I saw. That's why I typically hold him down, because the nurses don't realize my children's strength when they don't want something, to happen to them. I do, and I have just as much fight in me, if I do want it to happen. So anyways, the little nurse just stood there, and she was good with letting me do it. So anyways, I talked him through it. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't see this happening today." And I said, "Okay, buddy, Dad took off work half day, and it's going to happen today." So I said, "Whether you lay here and do it, and those pinches are going to happen, or they're going to put you out fully. Now, if they put you out, and I'm thinking, okay, what can I say? Because it's going to have to be something really terrible because that's not even an option to put him out at this point. He had food and whatever, so that's not even an option. So you got to quickly think on your feet, right? So, buddy, if they put you out to get this done, then you don't get any video games for a week, because the anesthetic is going to make your eyes mess up, and you will not be able to play games or listen to any ear pods or any of that stuff, because it messes with your head and it messes with your eyes." And the nurse over here is like, "Yeah, okay." She's like, and he's like, "Well, it's just a week." And I said, "Well, I mean, that's your choice. Do you want to give up all computer technology, every single thing device-wise for a week? Or do you think you can suffer through this for just 20 seconds? I'm only going to count to 20. She's going to be done in 20 seconds. Do you think you can handle this for 20 seconds, not moving a muscle? Do you think you can do it?" "I don't know, Mom. A week is not that bad." And then I'm a little bit like, okay, I feel I know my kid. I feel like that would have been something he would have chosen to make sure he got to do all week. And I'm thinking, okay, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't have any more little tricks up my sleeve. So I'm just gonna have to figure this one out, I guess. And I am like, well, it's your choice, you know. I will count to 20, she will be done. And she's looking at me a little nervous, like, 20? Lady, I have 3 syringes that have to go in him. 20? And I'm like, you know, it'll be fine. I know how to count to 20. I'm a teacher, come on. So he's like, okay. And we had to tell him everything and talk to him. And so I said, if you need anything, you just have to tell me, because I'm going to be on your arms. James is just sitting over there watching the show. I mean, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to help. I felt bad for him, but he just was like, I'm staying out of everyone's way. And he did good. And so the other little girl did too. The little nurse, she was like, I feel like y'all got this. I think it's okay. So I just practically laid on him and was holding his arm. He did say, Mom, hold on. Your elbow is so far in my arm, it is hurting. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I thought, buddy, I wanted to, like, seriously, where you can't feel it and move it. No, kind of I was. So I am holding him, holding his head. I mean, I had his head, like a death grip on my kid here. And I don't really like needles. And I said, we're gonna count to 20 and she's gonna be done. And you're gonna breathe and we're gonna be good. And he's like, okay. So I'm like, 1, and then we're talking, you know, 2, and she's going. She gets through the 1 syringe. I had no clue there was 3 syringes, okay? And she's poking, and I'm thinking, oh God, he's bleeding, and it's puffing. It's getting swollen as she's puffing it. And I'm like, okay. 3, and I said, okay. And we were talking about something else, and we're at 5, and I'm like, okay, I think she's almost done. And she goes, I'm like, no, she's not. I didn't get to 20. Okay. And I said, we might even beat her though. And then she looks at me like, 2 more. And I'm like, oh, okay. 6. And we were talking about stuff. Are you doing okay? Okay, buddy. All right. You know, and I'm on him. And we're 7 and going on. Anyways, we get to 18. His whole neck is practically swollen. And she's like, okay, now I'm just going to poke around and just make sure you don't feel it. And he's like, well, I don't even feel my arms at this point. And I'm like, well, good. Mama did her job. No. So she's poking around and he's like, nope, I don't even feel it. I don't feel my arms. Actually, I don't feel my legs because where I had him, I think I had a pressure point on his hip, but I do kind of feel bad about that. But anyways, he was all right. And so he was good. So the doctor comes in, who I'd never met. I'm like, who are you? Another little nursey person? No, I'm Dr. I can't think of his name, but it was a C. And I'm like, how old are you? Because I was expecting an older man who's done this like millions of times. He's like, well, this is my first day. I'm like, yeah, don't mess with me. Because like my nerves are really up there right now after all this. And he's like, well, I'm 41. I'm like, he's just a baby. Okay, great. Thinking, how many procedures have you done in my head? Because I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got this young child here who is slightly younger than me. And, ooh, did I just give my age away? Anyways, and he's going to be cutting my son. And okay, well maybe, you know, he's younger, so maybe he's got a little more technology than the older people. Maybe, you know, okay, I'm just gonna have to go with this and trust in God and trust in him that he's gonna do this okay. And I didn't want to make him nervous either. I'm like, you got a great staff, they're wonderful, they've been super good. Really, truly, your front staff is what makes your practice, and they are fabulous. And so he's like, okay, good to hear. And so he starts doing Jamie's back, and then he does it and did a great job and took the mole off and put it in the thing. And I'm like, I said, okay, I forgot to tell him he had stereotypies too, which is a motor disorder, which means like he could do this at any time, and the man has this, you know, scalpel and everything. But I'm like, I'm not gonna bring it up right now. I'm just gonna kind of watch. And I kept giving James all my stuff. I'm like, okay, if I've got to run over there, if I see him triggering or whatever, I'm just gonna be there and I'm just gonna hold him and they'll know why. Or I might scare him, I hope not. But so then they're starting to do his neck. Actually, they did a fantastic job. He did a really good job. So it looks like Jamie just scraped his knee, you know, but it's on his neck, and it looks fabulous. So anyways, they bandaged him. Oh, well, before that, okay, remember I told you about him swelling. Jamie starts like coughing. Even the doctor was alarmed. Everybody stops and looks like they didn't know what to do. And Jamie's eyes start watering, and he starts like, and I'm like, I jump up because I'm mom, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I'm like, okay, let me get some water. And I'm like, can you breathe? And you know, they're asking that too because they saw that he was having a little reaction to this, they called it Novocaine or something, maybe like Novocaine, but it's Novocaine. And he had Novocaine before because he had some teeth expelled, or teeth extracted, expelled, anyways. So they said, are you allergic, or are you okay? Well, he couldn't talk. His eyes are watering. I'm like thinking in my head, oh my gosh, his throat's closing. And they were all panicked too, but they didn't react like I did, which is fine. I got him some Gatorade, and the first thing he said to me, because I brought, of course, purple Gatorade, and if you know Jamie, he doesn't drink purple, pink, or blue. And I said, buddy, you're just gonna have to deal with it. It's that or coffee. That's all I brought. And so he did drink some sips, but he's like, Mom, you're not even doing it right. Because he's like, is that purple? And I thought, well, he's talking, so that's good. He's like, you're not even doing it right. You're not giving me enough. I said, you hold it, you sit up. Yeah, they were like, okay, have him sit up. And oh my God, is he okay? And I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, he started coughing. I said, he has allergies. They go, is he gonna get sick? And I said, I don't know. And they gave me the trash that they had already cauterized, you know, done his back, and there's blood and everything in that trash. And I went to pick it up, and I'm like, yeah, I can't show him this, like, because I'm about to puke looking at it. I said, you got anything else? And I did have a puke bag because I kind of felt pukey, but my puke bag was out in the car. So I was like, okay, I need something else. And so then they had this other thing that they opened, and I'm like, perfect. And I'm like, okay, buddy, if you got to puke, you can puke in here. And they didn't know if he was going to puke because of whatever. And he's like, no, I think I'm okay. I think I'm okay. So then, got all that. Okay, you can breathe. Okay, perfect. Then they laid him back down, and they were able to get that off. And they did a fantastic job. So all in all, it took maybe 20, 25 minutes, everything. He did a fantastic job. They did a fantastic job. It was great. So I'm happy that we got it done. I really, truly am regretting that we didn't get it done sooner. Scar or no scar, I wish we would have, you know, you had that mom feeling of, got to get this done. I wanted it done when he was a year old, and I hope I don't live to regret that, but I hope it comes back negative or benign, and hope both of them do. But they said it could obviously grow back, and if it does, I'll, you know, just have it keep getting it like shaved off or whatever they do. They call it trimmed, and I'm like, trimmed, but whatever. That's what they say. So I'll just have it keep, you know, getting it shaved off, trimmed off, whatever, and biopsied, and I don't know. So anyways, that is our story. They are wonderful, and I could not have asked for a better staff of people there. We went to Leia Bedox first at Cleveland Clinic, and she was wonderful, and then she and her husband branched out to Avon and started this practice, and then their satellite place was in Sandusky, and this was the doctor, and yay for him. I mean, he was great. So anyways, good experience. I can't wait to see the results. I'll post them later of his, after it kind of looks a little better. I'll post some pictures of it, of how they turned out, and then definitely after the 10 to 14 days, when we get results back, I'll make sure I post those too. So I'm hoping I post there. But anyways, take care and have a good night.